I think one of the greatest sins of the Episcopal Church, and maybe mainline Christianity, but I would at least speak for the Episcopal Church, is that we expect a well-trained clergy. We expect what the world would call professional clergy, and yet we're unwilling to pay for it. And that ball gets kicked down the line over and over again. And so I think scholarships are vital, because I would like to see us cherish it enough and value it enough that we actually are paying for it too. Because one of the huge problems we have right now that I don't think we talk about enough is the amount of debt that our seminarians come out of school with.
We could certainly use more resources, because many of the people we're hoping to recruit are coming from underserved populations, and they are not often ones with a lot of economic wealth. And so to provide, but we don't want to shortcut the formation process just because the financial resources are limited. We want to give those candidates as fine and as solid an education as anyone, and in fact maybe even more so, because the challenges and the opportunities that will be for that person over his or her lifetime are beyond our imagining. And so we want to equip each of them with all the resources we can.
Scholarships are especially important in terms of this model that we're talking about, in terms of going out and getting the leaders that we need rather than passively waiting for people to come. Because if you're going to go out and say to somebody, we think you're called to leadership in our church, perhaps that leadership is ordained leadership, that's going to mean spending 3 years of your life at seminary or some other kind of creative way that we do seminary formation. And you're going to leave that time about $90,000 in debt. It's not an appealing recruitment tactic.
There's even a greater challenge to second career folks who may be spending their accrued retirement pension in order to go to seminary to a vocation that may pay considerably less than their previous vocation. So they spend their pension, their retirement, and in an effort to serve the church.
What I like about SIM is that it allows you to support the church as a whole in that future of ordained ministry in a way that you can trust and that is always made possible through a caring and loving hand. Tom and his staff really got to know us, and I knew they were praying for us and cared about us. So, of course, the financial support was very appreciated, but we also just appreciated that sense that there were others who were also rooting for us and caring for us and wanted to keep in touch with us and build that network of alumni that would continue to support us as we started this ministry adventure.
One challenge we have is that it's a graduate school that leads to relatively badly paid employment. The gifts of ministry are extraordinary. You're with people in the most tormented moments in their lives. You're with people when they need help most. You have the privilege of talking about the eternal rather than the ephemeral every single week. So there are lots of joys and gifts to ministry, but remuneration isn't one of them. And therefore, somehow graduate school's got to be affordable. And that's where the Society for the Increase of Ministry comes in. It plays a very important role in making that possible.
If we can free them up from that fear and say, we can help you step forward where you are being called by God to serve, and remove the burden of the financial worries from you so that you could go through 3 years of spiritual formation and education, become an outstanding Episcopal priest, and go on to serve, and know you're already making great sacrifices to serve in a field where you're not going to be a rich person at the end of the day, but you will have enriched the lives of so many. That will be transformative. So to take away that burden is something that the Society for the Increase of Ministry is all about, and the stronger it becomes, the stronger the church will become.
Like the Apostle Paul, you go to a community, you do what the community needs, you become part of the community, part of the fabric of the community. And so we need more people to be trained in seminary, and SIM needs help to identify those seminarians that want to do that ministry.
Why don't we imagine a world for a moment in which theological education does not exist? A world like that gives rise to false theology. It gives rise to hopelessness. If we don't have theological education, the church of tomorrow, it really won't exist. Theological education is that springboard where faith is truly realized and explored, and leadership is taught and carried forth. I think without SEM and the ability to fund education, we're missing a large opportunity.
I would encourage all Episcopalians, if we're not just members, but if we're transformed disciples of Jesus Christ, then that means we need to be supporting our theological leaders through theological education. And that means supporting the Society for the Increase of Ministry.
Well, if you just think about your name, Society for the Increase of the Ministry, what a wonderful statement of purpose that is, to increase not just numbers, but quality of ordained leadership. That's what we need in the church today.
You know, we will support what we value. And if we value the quality of leadership in our church, if we believe that it is vital to the church's life and ministry, that good leaders be formed and trained and put to work, then we will find the money. We will make it a priority to give some of what we have to that effort. We'll be enthusiastic about inviting others to do the same. So in all the fundraising I've ever done, all the stewardship work I've ever spoken about, it's a matter of deciding what you value. And if we value leadership, and I believe we need to and must, then we will make those resources available so that leadership can be nurtured, developed, trained, and set free.